Lovely welcome to this new Chinkies transmission contemplation, and this time the 59 Chinky, which is one of the anchors of the whole Chinkies work, because it's a genetic structure about the shadow of dishonesty, the gift of intimacy, and the Siddhi of transparency. And there's a lot going on about how we are dishonest with ourselves, how we can be intimate with ourselves, and at the highest level express like the transparency in humanity collectively, because this is really a collective Chinky. And so, as always, I read from the book, and the partner is the 55 Chinky, which is victimization, freedom, exactly like that. That's the only Chinky where at the gift and the Siddhi there is 2 times the same. So if you're interested to know why it's like that, check it out for yourself. The dragon in the genome, so it's really about the genetics and how we are able to unfold our genetics in a way that we completely transcend it. And the psychology is the sacral plexus. It's in our second chakra. And the Codon Ring is still the Codon Ring of Union. We had been going to the 4th Chinky, the 7th not yet, probably it's next week, I don't know exactly, have to check it. And the 29 Chinky, which we had in the last transmission, and now it's the 59. So this shadow is about dishonesty, and it's written doing the genetic laundry, which means to really work on the limiting beliefs we have, to find the limiting beliefs out, to change them in something we have a good, better life quality of life, and we have more peace, more abundance, more freedom, everything that we wish in our life and that we actually wish. However, we never do the tasks that we are able to achieve like the task. So it's written in the book, there is no more topical issue within the entire human genome. The 59 Chinky, the 55 Chinky, and to an extent the 49 Chinky are the places within our DNA where a complete transmutation is currently underway. Whereas the 55 Chinky is triggering individual awakening across our planet, it is the 59 Chinky that is truly responsible for triggering planetary mutations at the genetics level. Which means that when there is one change in our genetic, it's not just that one individual have to change, it's like collectively all humanity goes through that change. And at its base level, the 59 Chinky is about sex and reproduction. It represents the drive in human beings to multiply, which makes sense because we do it a lot. We are over, how many are we actually? Over 6 billion and growing and growing. And let's see what the Chinkies here is telling, how this is ending for us. As such, it is an impersonal force that selects our potential mates for us. It's very interesting because this works through fear, actually. Through our dissonance, we attract possible mates, and that gives potential for growth, for further growth, and for further transmutations. And that's why relationships are so important in our lives. So behind the 59 shadow hides a deep distrust of others and the core fear of relationships. This is the shadow that makes the world a lonely place, because despite the number of people there are around us most of the time, we rarely communicate with each other in real depths. So we always stay on the surface of communications, and that is in a way projecting something onto each other, blaming each other, judging each other, having opinions about each other. All of like this is staying on the surface because we don't talk about our deep own kind of challenges and what we wish from our heart and we need. We just go on the surface and talk around in cycles about others, about not ourselves, and that creates like this shadow state of the dishonesty. So what is unusual about the 59 shadow is that the fear does not lie in the individual. It is in the aura between us. When you are alone, the fear is not there. But as soon as another person comes into the same room as you, the fear of the 59 shadow is there as a subtle undercurrent. It is even more amazing to consider why this fear exists at all. Because it is the foundation of sexual attraction. Yeah, that is very special. I love about this paragraph that this genetics only activates when there is the interaction between woman and male in this sense. And so when you have this interaction, then this gene key strongly activates. So it's really great to be aware and to know that when we interact with each other, that there are different kind of energies around in the aura for us. And for example, maybe we feel sexual lust and a really close attraction, or we get some pictures in our minds, in our imagination, how we might come together with that person. So there are a lot of like triggers that triggers also the shadows, that in the way when we when we interact the first time with another, they might not actually help us to build a deep relationship actually. So as long as we keep something of ourselves hidden from other, there's always something left for them to fear. It doesn't necessarily mean conscious dishonesty. We are genetically dishonest. The extraordinary revelation that comes from the contemplation of this 59 shadow is that our genes actually want us to be dishonest. This means that life itself has been holding humanity back from realizing its higher nature. One needs some time to digest this last sentence. Life needs human beings to be afraid of each other in order that it can fulfill its genetic potential in its current stage of our evolution. Yeah. And the wind is coming here again. Unbelievable. However, I believe it's working. Yeah. Strong message from the book, from the shadow. Let's go on forward. If we are not afraid of each other, we would have interpret immediately wherever we migrated. There would be no social, political or geographical boundaries, no countries, borders or wars. But, and it's a big but, there would also be no genetic differentiation, no art, religion or cultural color. No, yeah, in short, we would have become a single amorphous mass, and probably we would have not survived. That gives a totally different aspect to this negative and shadows, because there are a lot of like the spiritual people that only in the light, and they're like, oh, we have to be in the light and we only go to the stars. And there is like as like there is in science the people that are completely contrary and against like this spiritual things, and they are really like down in the deep matter. There's also the spiritual people that just go crazy about only light and love, and not being able to actually change their belief and negative patterns. And I know from experience how important it is to change like this negative beliefs we have and limiting beliefs. And it can be very, very painful in a way and suffering. And we have to have the courage to see them and to discover tools that we are able to change them into something more loving, what we want. And we have to discover and we have to look at our fears. This is also what's written actually in the Gift and Siddhi, I think. So it's also written in the shadow, the 59 Chinki cuts deeper than race, belief, or creed. It goes deeper even than the individual blood ties of family. It binds humans together as a single interrelated genetic family. Fear will gradually be bred out of human beings. Without our fear of each other, the world will change dramatically. The greatest change of all will be to our human sexuality. We are on track to become an androgynous species in which the separate sexual poles will come together with the individual human being. Yeah, very, very interesting. I mean, people, you check Chinkis, you are interested in the spiritual topics. You know that we have masculine and a feminine side, and both are present. We had a lot of lifetimes where we had different aspects activated, female, male, so many different aspects, and we have both. Just now we inhabit our body as, for example, for me as a male. However, I still have a lot of female aspects, and I know that, and I'm also happy that I can express them. At the same time, there are also male aspects. So it's very interesting to see that we will move in a direction that people probably cannot even imagine, because that there is not the sexual life as we know it and imagine and have it now. It's really mind-blowing, and most people cannot understand where we are moving, actually. It's really crazy. And the Gift, and especially the Siddhi, is showing more of that. So this is not a time of the good guys fighting the bad guys, or as the politics want to have us believe. This is not about the gene pools anymore. It is about behavioral integrity. The genetic cleansing that we are currently experiencing on a global level will very likely go on for a number of centuries. It has to work its way out of our DNA through our bloodlines. However, as the human population decreases due to our mutating sexuality and the lessening of global fear, the world will naturally become a quieter and more peaceful place. So here it's actually written what's happening. Just changes. So the called Judgment Day is really taking place within our genes, within our genetics. This is all what is the Judgment Day about. And you can feel nature is giving the synchronicity that this is true. That's how I work, actually. So sometimes it's just coming like this, and then like you have to see the signs, the signals, the synchronicities. It's really it's fun. So one of the main reasons for the writing of this book is to encourage more of us to look into the eyes of our inner demons and coax out these ancient fears. It is time to take out the genetic laundry. Wherever you are dishonest with yourself in your relationships or your work, there you must look with eyes open and unflinching. This is also my core message. That's why I'm resonating with Richard Rudd and Chinkies so much, because it's not about putting all of these fears away and not talking about them. At the same time, it's also not to be only in the fears. It's really to see everything from a higher perspective of the Siddhis and the gifts, and that's why I love like this work so much. And there are like the two natures. One is exclusive, it's the repressive nature, and exclusive means feeling excluded is a classical example of the victim state, as it blames others rather than taking responsibility for its own feelings. These people unconsciously exclude themselves out of a deep-seated fear of losing control. When you open your doors to others, then you always lose control. Such people actually manage to draw negative attention through their self-exclusion. Then nothing more to say about that. Then the reactive nature is intrusive. It's just in a way the opposite. The fear of being excluded is not repressed here, but is expressed reactively as anger, which then becomes intrusive. These people try to push themselves in the door, physically and emotionally invading other people's or person's aura. When they meet rejection, they become outraged and exclude themselves. It is the same strategy as the repressive nature in that it tries to maintain control of the emotional environment through blaming others. The difference here is that the intrusive nature experiences reaction actively, whereas the repressive nature experiences it passively. So you see also how the repressive and the reactive work. Repressive is really passively have it inside you, and reactive is you react, you have it, you express it out, you project it out. Yeah. Let's go to the fun part. The sun is coming around here. I hope this is still working good. And you can all see me. It's about intimacy, the gift, sublimation, and the serpent. So the 59 shadow has been playing havoc with human attempts at monogamy for a long time. Indeed, women and men react very differently to the fear inherent to this gene key. The traditional male reaction is to try to escape being trapped by a single woman. This fear of being trapped is the polarity of the 55 shadow. The female reaction is to try to hold onto the male aura because of its promise of protection for offspring. Women intuitively understand the male's urge to disperse his genes widely. At the shadow frequency, a woman reacts by trying to keep the male as close as possible, thereby creating the opposite reaction in the male, that of wanting to escape and be free. Thus goes the old age or the age-old battle of sexes. Very powerful, very correct. I have this experience in some sense in my life. I guess everyone can relate to this and have these experiences. And yeah, it's just how human beings' life for us work now, and soon we will more be able to transcend a lot. So nature always flowers in certain individuals early, just as certain flowers in the garden bloom first. However, to try and to force our sexual flowering before it is ready can be dangerous. It will come in its own time. Very important to not force something early. And in general, to not force anything. Why should you force something? Everything has to feel light and good when you do it, and when it doesn't and you feel like there is something not good, then you better not do it. So intimacy may sound like a soft and cuddly kind of state, but the reality of the 59 gift of intimacy is somewhat different. Intimacy presupposes honesty and acceptance of the shadow state. This means that the fears between the sexes must be acknowledged, understood, and allowed to exist. This allowing then acts like a valve that opens up the full power of the sexual force, a shattering power that shakes the very fabric of your being. This is why it is frightening to us, because it is such a raw power. What we don't usually realize is that the power of our sexuality, if embraced fully, will open us to a higher state. I will move a little bit out here of the sun. Bear with me for 2 seconds, my friends. Natural, intoxicated approach to distract you and your shadows, and my shadows for sure also. Okay, this should work out better. So the power of human intimacy is the power of two human auras interacting to create a third aura, whilst in the process the two original auras are sublimated. The more differentiated the original auras are, the more potential there is for transcendence. So, as in the shadow also told, when we interact with a woman, in my case, and then like there is a third aura being created, and depending on how much different my aura and the women's aura is, there is more or less potential in grow, in transcendence. And that's how it works for the attraction. We always, in a sense, attract the people that help us grow the most. And this also happened to me like a lot of times in my life, where this is true, especially with my ex. And yeah, it's just like that. There is the biggest potential until that stops at some point, and that's really important also to notice when there is a natural cycle over. So within that cauldron, the auric fields of the two parties are chaotically interfused, and through an alchemical process, a new awareness dawns above to the solar plexus centra. The actual culmination of this process does not occur in the solar plexus area, but in the heart. The heart center is, in fact, the higher glandular functioning of the solar plexus. At this heart opening occurs, true intimacy is born, and two people meet within a single awareness. Yeah, there's just one awareness, and this resonates like strongly with me now, because I experienced that with some women, and it's very interesting to have like that feeling of intimacy just without even knowing each other actually, and still there is this intimacy from the beginning of getting to know someone. Let's check the Siddhi transparency, the return of the Quetzalcoatl. I will also write it here. It's like from the Aztecs and the Mayans, like this serpent being, this god serpent being, and yeah. It's also, I think I marked something where it's a little bit explained about the Mayans in 2012, I believe, how this relates to this phase that we are moving in, and more now than ever in our evolution. So the mutation of the solar plexus essentially equates to the opening of our planetary heart center. And as most of us know, time stands still when you are in love. Yeah. Kind of like that, I guess. Beyond this transformation out of the shadow into the gift lies a further transformation in which genetic mutations will take place within the brain chemistry of the pineal and pituitary glands. This higher process will lead to the dawning of the 59 Siddhi, the Siddhi of transparency. I also put the parts here as always. So you see what is this pineal gland is the third eye, and pituitary glands is also a part in there somewhere. I believe so. So today when we speak of being transparent, we mean being open and honest in our communication with others. The Siddhi of transparency actually involves the dispersion of all aspects of the self back into the sea of creation. In mythical terms, the 59 and 55th gene keys represent the force of prime yang and prime yin respectively. The 59 gift is the seed or semen, and the 55th gift is the egg. When the frequency of this gene key reaches the Siddhic level, these kinds of symbols cease to have meaning, since they no longer function through duality. The semen of the 59 gene key is bent, and the egg is no longer needed. What you have left is a state beyond description and beyond evolution. Transparency is what remains when evolution becomes meaningless. Just a short pause to reflect on that. It's really magical and far beyond our minds what we are capable of understanding in a way we have been conditioned from our system in school, how life works. So at a genetic level, the 59 Siddhi cannot exist within the physical body because it is the driving force behind evolution. The state of transparency carries no agenda or purpose. It simply acts as the conduit for awareness. The only purpose of the 59 Shinki is to break down all barriers that stand in the way of union. So the Codon Ring of Union with the fourth Shinki, forgiveness, Siddhi. So forgiveness, virtue, devotion, and transparency, they are all in this Ring of Union, and they interconnect each other and relate in a way that all of them have a different purpose to transcend certain collective and also individual limiting belief systems we have. And that's very important because there are so many movements now on Earth. You notice, you see it, you observe it as I observe and see it. There is so much things going on, and it will not slow down. I believe, I know from my inner core of my soul being, it will not slow down, it will accelerate, it will be fun. However, it will be only fun when you are open to change, when you are have the courage to look the fears you have into deep into your eyes and transcend them. And if that is not the case, that will create just a lot of suffering and pain. And I don't believe like a lot of people actually really wish and love to have this experience. However, there will be a lot that have it, and so at least if you are here and watch this, please be one that is not doing like that, and you at least check Chinkis, which is awesome. I love it, and it's a big sign that you're also moving in a direction of more lightness and love and abundance, and So let's check the last part of this transmission. The sequence leading to transparency begins with the process of forgiveness triggered by the fourth Chinky. Once you have forgiven yourself, using your relationships as a mirror, you will discover your true aura of Virtu, the seventh Chinky. Once you have found your inner Virtu, you begin to pour yourself out into others, recognizing the same divine source in every person you meet. It is this devotion, the 29 Chinky, that is the true doorway to transparency. Devotion empties you out, bringing you into a purified state of awareness where you no longer relate to people or objects as others. Transparency brings everything inside your own being, eliminating the very concept of inside and outside. It is the greatest leveler within the whole sphere of life. So yeah, it's nice that I explained before about the codon ring, so this really helped to enhance the understanding of how these different cities interact to each other, which is really great. In the times ahead, and even perhaps today, the 59 city is imminent. Beings will come into the world manifesting the full power of this city, just as mass consciousness will begin manifesting the 59 gift of intimacy as the norm. So a few will begin to manifest this most rarefied of vibrations. These will be people who have gone beyond all concepts of agendas. The ultimate agenda is evolution, the idea that there is still some scope for growth. Although the form of our world will continue to evolve, the consciousness out of which it emerges can never and has never evolved. I find this interesting to tell something what one of my or my biggest also spiritual teacher that I have learned a lot from. He told that he says consciousnness also evolves. It's probably a paradox. He tells the opposite is probably both states. So just to have this in mind. So only awareness can evolve, and it is evolving very quickly through the transformations and mutations coming through this gift and city. However, when awareness has reached its ultimate expression, it becomes a clear mirror for consciousness, and this is what transparency is. It reflects life without any additional comment. It is a state we humans have always dreamed of attaining, the ability to look upon the world without judgment. So, like explained like this with awareness and consciousness, it makes sense. I also love this explanation, and it's just not graspable from our minds, right? And from an evolutionary point, we, in some sense, we are so addicted to this reality, to everything we are doing, that we even don't want it to be finished to some degree. We say like, look, like if I have the perfect state, it's boring because there is nothing else to achieve, and yeah, probably this is the biggest distraction and illusion there is, because yeah, maybe it's also different, and then the real journey becomes just from a different level, a different stage of another evolution that is beyond evolution, something like this. Who knows? Who knows? So the journey of consciousness through the 59 gene key is symbolized aptly by the figure of the Quetzalcoatl. The feathered serpent is the same as the symbol of the dragon. It represents the harmonization of the lower nature, the serpent, with the higher nature, the bird. This is indeed the new epoch we are now entering. The lower and the higher natures, you can also see the lower natures is the physical, astral and mental body, and the higher natures is the Buddhic body, the atomic body and the monadic body. No, wait. The Buddhic body, confusion. The Buddhic body is the fifth, atomic and monadic, yeah, those three. And the causal body doesn't have a counterpart. So they emerge evolution and involution in a way. That's how it's in Gene Key is written. So our first step is to let our barriers down and look deeply into our fears. Even our deepest genetic fears, such as the fear of losing our loved ones, act as a subtle barriers that keep us from realizing that our genes are not exclusive but inclusive. Every man and woman is our genetic brother and sister, and no single individual, family, tribe or nation is an island. We are all one genetic tribe moving through a huge transformative period in history, the end result of which will be the realization of our unity. Thank you very much for watching today's video. I hope you took a lot away. Thumbs up for the video, comment below all your questions, I will answer them always personally, and check also out my blog Beyonduality.com. I have a lot of articles also related to Gene Keys, also the limiting beliefs, and subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. You're Dominic, see you in the next video, and bye bye, have a great time.